guys, welcome to yet another episode of CaughtatPoint podcast with me and my co-host Pranay Rangra. Today is a iconic episode for us in some ways because we are making a bit of a history here at CaughtatPoint. How's that? No, we are not bringing back Ben Stokes from his distancing from cricket. We are joined for the first time ever by a female guest, and we are joined by Kalna Shukla, who joins us from Ahmedabad, India, and she's a practicing sports psychologist and a fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. It's definitely a pleasure to be talking to you guys. And I look forward to having some really interesting conversations.
Hi,
So do
Kalna.
we. So
Welcome.
do.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Pranay, why don't you start with the first question? Why don't you take the lead?
So, Kalna, it's so interesting that we finally met someone who's got into sports psychology. So, how did it happen for you? So, why sports psychology?
Okay, so I really love this question. It's one of my favorite questions. And so I got into sports psychology because I had a fear of competing and I didn't like competing. But when I came across the term sports psychology, I was like, okay, perfect. Now I won't even have to compete, but I can stay in touch with, sports. So that's how I came about wanting to pursue sports psychology as my career option.
So, when you say
Right, right.
competing, what was your fear of competition?
I think I feared not winning. I didn't fear losing, but I feared not winning. So and it gave me like really serious nerves, and I
Kalna,
used
are you
to
related
shiver.
to Virat Kohli in some way?
I wish. I really wish.
Because
Uh,
he also
you,
hates losing. His fear is to not win. We love you, Virat. Sorry, I've just been spammed by his fans already. So continue, please.
Yeah, so it was the fear of not being able to win, and unfortunately, I didn't pursue practicing and training, and I eventually left my said sport, which was swimming.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. I have a I want to know that is sports psychology still a very niche industry, or is it still something which people have to really know a lot about before they can venture into? Is it at a stage where it hasn't really peaked as yet? Because this question is coming from a space of dignity, because a lot of athletes nowadays are succumbing to mental health issues. Myself and Pranay, we made an episode about it where we talked about cricketers battling that. So I just want to know that, for example, any wannabe or rather up and coming sports psychologist in the country, if they are hearing you, where is this industry right now in our country?
Uh, that's a brilliant question again. So, sports psychology is something that has been catching on. And this particular subfield of psychology has been there for a very long time, although it's just starting to pick up in India. And people are starting to notice and feel that, okay, no, as an athlete, it's not their job to only keep winning for the country or for their team. It's much more than that. It has its toll. It has all the disadvantages of competing at the highest level. So in a way, people are slowly and gradually getting aware of it, especially because superstars and mega stars like Simone Biles or Ben Stokes or Virat Kohli, for that matter, they do talk about this, and they have talked about this in the past as well. So because of such people opening up about their problems, other people, other athletes, probably at a little lower level, are starting to notice that, oh, even I have something like that. So then you try and seek out an answer for the problem, and you try and see who can solve this problem. So people realize that there is a problem which is happening, but somewhere I feel that there is a gap in realizing who is actually solving the problem that these athletes are facing.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. So when did you actually start practicing, and how has the journey been so far? You said you've
Um,
done a double masters already. So what's the journey been like so far, and when did you begin?
I began with a lot of curiosity. So because I knew and because I was adamant to study sports psychology, um, I was always on the lookout for talking to athletes, and I knew that in order to be able to practice in India one fine day, I will have to know my market. So even before I knew where I wanted to do my master's for sports psychology, I was talking to a lot of athletes, trying to understand their problems. And along the way, if there was a problem that I could handle and if I could solve, I was solving it for them. And so my journey began all the way in 2016, and I started working with three athletes, and I worked with them for about 3 years. Then I went on and studied in one of the best universities for sports related subject,
Which
and
is
which is Loughborough University in UK. And so I got a brilliant exposure and a brilliant experience over there. And yeah, then I came back. But yeah, so to answer your question, the journey has been full of ups and downs, literally.
So, Kalna, tell us about your up moments, because we don't like discussing down on this channel.
Right. So the up moments have one of my most favorite up moments was obviously getting into this world number one university, because it's a full university which is known for its sports related subjects. So it could be biomechanics or it could be sports nutrition and of course sports psychology. So one of the biggest up moments was getting into that. And apart from that, my up moments are always filled with being able to talk about sports psychology more and more and letting people know that it's such an important field.
great, great. So tell us what critical role does sports psychology play today in our country in terms of its most popular and widely followed sport, cricket? Are people still warming up to it? Are people still alienated by the concept that I don't want to visit a sports psychologist? I ask you this specifically because in the recent past, a lot of cricketers have opened up, even in our part of the world, about their mental troubles, pressures, and the fear of competition. And if not the fear of competition, then by the constant rigors that cricket exposes them to.
Uh, it's slightly complicated to answer this question because although people are realizing what they are going through and they have started to acknowledge that, okay, maybe I'm not strong all the time and maybe I have my weak moments on most of the days, but still it's really difficult for someone to come up to a sports psychologist and share their problems, because the field of cricket is has this big image and will always have a big image where the athletes are strong, they are able to put on a really tough face and just go out there and bat or bowl and win the match in from the toughest of conditions. So cricket is always going to have that image. So although athletes do know what they are going through, it's slightly difficult for them to still come to terms that, okay, maybe I need help and I should get help. Realizing that you need help is one thing, and actually starting to work on it is another.
So, Kalna, so particularly cricket athletes in our country, do you think coming to a sports psychologist is a weakness for them? with the kind of pedestal that we put them on? Like we think them to be
You mean
idols.
the apprehensions? You mean the apprehensions?
Yeah, apprehensions, exactly. The apprehensions.
How
And
I
do they
might-
consider to be weak in terms of facing the society if they consult a sports psychologist?
Okay. So cricket and athletes who play cricket, because like I said, it has a big image, and because of the set stereotypes of cricketers, they feel that it's a sign of weakness if I have to work on my mental side. Because since I was young and since I started playing cricket, I was going through difficult times where, maybe my parents had to struggle for me, or maybe my coach was being difficult on me. But regardless of that, I still continued playing cricket. So now, at this point, at this juncture, why do I need to seek help? But the way I look at it is that they shouldn't see it as a sign of weakness. They should see that maybe with our help, with the help of a sports psychologist, they'll be able to unlock a special strength in themselves, which they have never been able to fully utilize. So I think they should view it in that way and make the most out of it by seeking our help.
So, every human being has a tough day in the office. What typically personifies a tough day for you as a sports psychologist? What are the challenges on a particular day? What are they like?
Okay. So one of the biggest challenges for me and me as in a sports psychologist is that people often forget that I'm a sports psychologist. They might just refer someone to me who is not from a sports background, or who has a very clinical case where a psychiatrist needs to be involved or where medications need to be involved. So although people are aware of what we do, there is still quite a blurred line between all the subfields of psychology. So I think that is where a distinction needs to be made. Or, there are days when you just can't get through with a parent or with a coach, because a coach at times feels threatened that maybe we are there to take up their jobs. And maybe if their athlete starts getting comfortable with us, they might not go to the coach again. So, we try and make them understand that we are obviously not there to take their jobs. We are just there to make their jobs easier, to lift the burden upon, like, from them, because as a coach, they have to do everything by themselves. Like, they have to motivate their athletes, they have to look after their diet and so on and so forth, apart from the technical and tactical stuff that they teach their athletes. So I think it's just that, convincing them that I'm really not there to take their jobs, and I'm really not there to turn, their child against their parents. So the parents just feel that I'm not needed, or a sports psychologist is not needed. Or they might feel that why do they need a sports psychologist when they are only, trying to qualify for the state tournament or a national camp. So they feel that, oh, sports psychology is for people who are at the very elite level, or, who are going to represent their country. But sports psychology is for everyone, it's for any athlete at any level.
Even for Pranay and me, who spend a lot of time on the cricket field, but on the computer game, the PlayStation.
Definitely, I can do my best to help you and motivate you.
So, Kalna, tell me. Go on.
No, go ahead.
So, Kalna, you were saying that athletes, irrespective of whatever level they are in their playing cycle, so to speak, they should go to a sports psychologist. So, my question is that do you see younger people coming to sports psychologists, or is it like once you become a star, is it only then that these apprehensions and anxiety sort of start hitting you? Or would you see that when you're not so established, it's even more than becoming a star?
It's both ways. And it completely depends on the kind of person that you are and the kind of experiences that you've had. So I've seen both the sides of the coin. I've seen and consulted younger people who are facing a lot of anxiety, which is very unnatural to see in such young people. And I've also seen elite athletes having the kind of nerves that I probably didn't think they would have. So it's both ways, and it's the kind of situation at times they are thrown into and pushed into. So it's only when you are facing an adversity will you realize your true strength, or will you realize how weak you are and where exactly are you that weak. So I've seen both the sides of it.
Kalna, can I define sports psychology as creating opportunity in the face of adversity?
Not really. Not really. That's just, I think that does weigh in quite a lot, because in sports psychology, and especially when I was studying in UK, my professor kept on emphasizing the fact of humans going through adversities, because like you said, adversities can bring out the stronger you. Like it's the song from, I guess it's Adele, that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it's exactly like that. But no, it can't be. Sports psychology cannot be defined and put into just that one particular concept of adversities.
Right. So, have you interacted with any young cricketers or athletes like that who otherwise excel in cricket, but suddenly one day they wake up and they know that there is a mental thing that they need to address? So, and how have those conversations been? I mean, how is it like? Is this, does your job entail about reigniting the spark in them, or first making them understand that okay, there is an issue and we need to actually
Mm.
address that issue?
Mm.
How does it go on?
Okay. So, yes, I have interacted with quite a few young athletes who are up and coming in their own respective fields or sport. So, what happens is that I used to eventually, like initially, I used to presume that yes, it will happen, so that one day they'll wake up and they'll just have uh, an insight that, oh my God, I'm facing this really huge mental issue. But in reality, what happens is they already know that there is something which is not fitting well within their functioning, but they are scared to approach that issue. They are scared to approach or dive into that problem. So when they feel that, okay, there is a huge amount of hindrance happening with my daily functioning, that is when they will seek help, usually seek help. So at that time, the first thing, which is our job as a sports psychologist, is to make them realize and make them accept what they are feeling. Because athletes have this image, like I mentioned before, that being in sports is all about winning. You play a sport only to win. So, because of this mindset and because of this image, they feel that they are not allowed to feel weak. They are not allowed to feel low, sad, all the negative emotions. So, my first job is to make them accept what they're feeling or accept the kind of situation they are in, and then and we move forward.
Kalna, tell me, you're saying that in sports, these athletes talk about winning mostly. Isn't it more about enjoying the sport rather than winning and losing, which should be the base on which you start playing so that all these things don't bother you? Or is that
Yeah, so
too utopian to think?
I really feel that an ideal world is where you start playing sports because either you had the talent for it, or you just wanted to, get physically fit, or you just wanted to put your child into something which was separate from academics. But sadly, that's not the case. Even though a parent, enrolled their child into an activity which kept their child occupied for, say, 1 or 2 hours, eventually, when they see that their child is doing good, when they see other parents talking about, ki, oh wow, like, your son or your daughter is playing so well for such a young age. So they start getting all these ideas and they start building these ideas, and then they slowly start putting expectations on their child. And that is where these expectations and winning, losing concepts come in.
Tell me, and it might sound like a hilarious question, but how does one grow in this field? I mean, is it like lawyers, like more cases you win, the more popular your market equity, and like people start recommending you, word of mouth communication happens, or like how do you actually grow in this field? I know that uh, there's never been a time such as the one in which we are, where the need for a sports psychologist has been so prominent and profound. It's profoundly important at this point in time. But how do you really grow in this field? How do you succeed?
Okay, my answer might just sound really cliched, but it is definitely word of mouth. And yes, if you're working at a really high level with big teams or with a government organization, it's through recommendation. I agree that, like you said, it's like, being a lawyer, that the more cases you win. But in sports psychology, it's not more so about a win. It's more so about how you made the athlete or your client feel. Like, were you successful in achieving the agenda that was given to you? Or were you able to make the athlete feel less burdened and free from their negative critics and inner critics or inner expectations? So yeah, I think it's both these things, that it's either word of mouth, or it's also by how many agendas were you able to meet that which were given to you.
Kalna, what about women? Is it big with them also in terms of seeking sports psychology, into like coming to a sports psychologist, women athletes, women cricketers, or is it more a male skewed thing? I'm asking predominantly in our country.
Right. Okay. So the statistics do say that females do go through slightly lesser mental health issues, and men go through slightly more mental health issues. But up till now, I've never experienced that my female clients came from a place where they were hesitant to seek help. Although, when I start working at a really higher level, I might see a difference between the gender. I might see that, males find it little difficult to approach me because of my own gender. Females might feel more comfortable talking to me. So, it's that angle also to be, looked at, I feel.
And again, is this field like an urban concept? For example, you want to succeed in IT, then move to Hyderabad, Bangalore. You want to work in advertising, go to Bombay, and try
Yeah.
not to get depressed.
No longer, Dave.
Because
No longer. Delhi and Gurgaon are the places to be. If you want to be in advertising.
yes, I'm glad I'm not a part of that industry anymore. With all due respect to advertising.
Me too.
But so, how is it about sports psychology? Um, do you have to be in a particular city, or could you also be in a Jaipur, Lucknow, Ranchi, Dhanbad, Allahabad, sorry, Prayagraj? if Mr. Modi's, CM does not lose it on me.
Uh, so as far as what I've observed, all the mega cities have quite well established systems, and the concept in mega cities such as say Bangalore or Bombay or even Delhi, what they have is that they have all the sports sciences under one roof. So if I want a sure shot at my job, if I want a secured job, then yes, I think you should definitely move to a big city, because in smaller towns and smaller or still developing cities, these concepts are fairly new, and people might not be that responsive to your thoughts and your ideas.
Would it be fair to say that a lot of people who may actually be suffering from anxiety and stuff are often also thinking about procrastination? That, theek hai, I know, it's like, before how fever hits you, first something in your throat happens, a slight niggle. It tells you that something is wrong, that, tonight don't have a beer. You might just get fever. So, you feel okay, ठीक है यार, एक beer पी लेते हैं, पता नहीं कुछ होगा नहीं होगा. So do athletes also procrastinate, and hence maybe are there situations, where they take time to reach out, having knowing it very well all along that there is something which is not quite right.
This is not just with athletes, it's with most people, it's with most humans, I would like to say, that because of the stigma attached with seeking help and accepting that you do have low points and you have weaknesses, is something where people still tend to hide and try to shove it in one corner. So yes, as per your question, athletes also do procrastinate, and they do tend to take their own sweet time in seeking help. Yes.
Kalna, a more positive question for you. So once people come and seek help from you, after that, how does it feel for that person who's come to you, and how does it feel for you to see that person evolve?
Okay. So okay, I'll use an example for this. So I was working with an athlete, and they were at a stage in their career where it was like a make or break, and everything was sort of on the line for them. And I was just starting out. I was just that curious person who wanted to know the problems of the athletes. And I came across this said athlete, and we started working together. And for almost 2 years, I never got a thank you. I never got a feedback. I just kept working. And today, that athlete has, it's just that one day where they just out of nowhere said that it's all because of the mental support that I seek from you, and it was at the right time. So we don't really seek appreciation, but we know when that one acknowledgement, when that one feedback will validate everything that we have done for the past X number of days or X number of months. So when they come in, to answer your question, that when they come in, it's our job to make them accept themselves, to make sure that they grow, no matter be it on the pitch or off the pitch. So that's our role. And when we see them succeed, when we see that they are rising through these difficult situations, that's a win for us. That's definitely a win for us.
Brilliant answer. Brilliant. मुबारक हो, 1 करोड़ रुपए जीत गई आप. Anyways. I'm going to put you through a hypothetical question, and it's the last question from my end. So, if you are aware, and you would be, India is in England right now, and there's this massive test series going on. And amongst the many batsmen who aren't really making a lot of runs is Cheteshwar Pujara from Saurashtra, right? Saurashtra's
Yeah.
greatest export to Indian cricket team. If he were to come to you hypothetically, saying that okay, I'm in a bit of stress. Sometimes an accumulation of negative thoughts can also take you severely on the back foot. And he were to come to you saying that no matter how hard I focus, I just can't go out there, and my lack of success is killing me internally. How would you approach it in a nutshell?
Okay.
Because he's a
Hypothet-
premier athlete. He's not a starting athlete. He's
right.
an established athlete.
Right. Right. So, hypothetically, if Cheteshwar Pujara were to come, I would first of all have to hide my blushed cheeks, but I'll try my best. But anyway, moving on, if he were to come to me, I would be knowing that he's a very well established cricketer. He's spent very many years honing his skill, improving his skill, but now he's reached an epitome where probably he's feeling stagnant, he's feeling stuck. My approach in a nutshell to this would be reminding him why he started cricket, reminding me why he continued to play cricket, and reminding him that after all, you need to enjoy this game because it's the thrill of, staying on the pitch for longer, which is his playing style. So it's that thrill of staying on the pitch and not getting out and irritating the hell out of England. So that would be something that I would do in a nutshell, just to remind him that just relax, maybe, try to enjoy it more rather than take it as a, stressful situation. So just trying to change the perspective.
Very well.
Kalna, I'm glad you brought out the enjoyment aspect, because that question that I had asked you earlier was basis this only, that if you don't enjoy the game, then how does it matter whether you win or lose? Because you get into the game for the enjoyment of it, right? And if you enjoy the game, then only can you win, because you'll give it your best. So I'm glad you brought up the enjoyment part for hypothetically with Cheteshwar Pujara. That's really nice. Dave?
No, it's brilliant. Yeah. What's next for you? The final question from CaughtatPoint podcast. What is
and a message for listeners and viewers after that, please.
And those who are taking up this nascent field in our country, if that's the right word.
I would like to first give a message to the listeners and people who see this, and athletes or coaches or parents, that don't make an athlete's identity of a sporting nature. They are much more than an athlete. They are human. They can make mistakes. They are allowed to make mistakes, and they are allowed to feel low, and they are allowed to not win. So that's my only message to the listeners and viewers. And my message to the people who wish to, pursue their career in sports psychology is that just make sure that you come into this field in order to help athletes feel secure and help athletes feel safe, and not for the fame of it, not to join your name with the athlete's name, because it's the athlete's hard work at the end of the day. You are just there supporting them and lifting their burden little by little. So that's it.
Very well said. Very well said. So Dave, do you want to wind up in your classic style?
My classic style can't happen because today I'm wearing a wig. Actually, the Fevicol, the sunglasses and the hair is just stuck to it. So my classic style is when I just, let the hair down. But today there's lack of it. So, and your hair is lovely, by the way, Kalna. Which shampoo do you use? Oh, we can't promote brands here. Sorry. So, Sorry. So, guys, it's been tremendous speaking to one of a kind sports psychologist, bright, young, brave, adventurous, and compassionate. And I wish Kalna, along with Pranay and me, we wish Kalna a lot of success and contentment and peace of mind, because this field is about ultimately that. And thank you, listeners, for listening to us. And we hope to continue to bring this was fascinating for you. We'll try to come up with even better content. And Kalna, your presence actually made this a very special show. So I want to thank you for that.
Kalna,
No,
may
I would
you
actually
provide,
like to. Yeah, sorry,
saying
go
may
ahead.
you provide peace of mind to a lot more athletes. That's only what I want to say.
Thank you so much. I think that's the kind of blessing that I require and the support I require from, people who are really curious and genuinely curious about the well-being of athletes. So thank you so much for, spreading awareness about this. And I'm happy to have this conversation with you guys today.
No, it was lovely.
Thank you.
Our vision at CaughtatPoint is to actually be like, a man called Mr. Dependable, to be there for the unsung, for the larger causes, for the smaller causes which people don't really care about. Because otherwise, it's very easy to get a cricketer on a show and just rant about, the glories and the what haves and what have you not. But it's episodes like these which distinguish us. And Pranay has been a huge motivator in us taking the road less traveled. So thank you, Kalna. Thank you, listeners, viewers. Thank you, Pranay. And
Thank you, Dev.
yeah.
Thank you, Kalna. So, guys, please like, share,
Thank you,
subscribe,
guys.
and we'll get another guest soon. This is Kalna, Dev, and Pranay signing off. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys. See ya. Thank you.
Thank you.